After realizing that the mental world and even the self or the mind led nowhere and things remained what they were, and that to be was a prison and extinction, the escape, Ashwapati proceeds still further. A covert answer to his seeking came. He was seeking for a solution. He was seeking for a way, and a concealed answer came his way. In a far shimmering background of mind space, a glowing mouth was seen, a luminous shaft. On the distant horizons of the space, in the skies of mind, something glowing, something shining, there was a luminous ray, a ray of light that stood out and attracted his attention. A recluse gate it seemed, musing on joy. It looked as if it was a gate, a doorway, from where one goes into wilderness. And that gate was musing, lost in contemplation of joy, a veiled retreat and escape to mystery. That gate looked like providing an escape into the land of mystery and a retreat which was still hidden from the eye, away from the unsatisfied surface world, the surface world in which he was skirting. It fled into the bosom of the unknown. That gate, that passage, it entered into the bosom of the unknown, a well, a tunnel of the depths of God. It was, as it were, something getting deeper and deeper, like a tunnel leading into the profounds in the depths of God. It plunged as if a mystic grew of hope. What plunged? Hope. The mystic grew of hope, the formation of hope which Ashwapati was carrying with him, that plunges through many layers of formless, voiceless self to reach the last profound of the world's heart. His hope passes through many levels, layers of the self without form, self without sound, to reach the last depth of what is the heart of the world, away from the surfaces and from the heart, from that side, from the heart of the world, there surged a wordless call. It is a wordless call. It is a silent call, but a call nevertheless, pleading with some still impenetrable mind. It is as if that call is pleading with some obscure, impenetrable, which cannot be penetrated layer of mind, to let him get through, voicing some passionate, unseen desire. That call is instinct with some intense, unseen desire to get Ashwapati there, as if a beckoning finger of secrecy from those depths of silence, as if a finger of secrecy calls him, outstretched into a crystal mood of air. There is no space there. So the poet says, mood of air, crystal, pure, transparent, pointing at him from some near hidden depth, as if a message from the world's deep soul, as if it is transmitting a message from the deeper soul of the world, an intimation of a lurking joy that flowed out from a cup of brooding bliss. In that self of the world, there is a brooding bliss. It is compared to a cup of brooding bliss, not flowing out, but lost in itself. And a little bit of what flows out of the cup is the lurking joy. There shimmered, stealing out into the mind. From there, something shines and steals into the mind world, a mute and queering ecstasy of light, a passion and delicacy of roseate fire, roseate of the color of rose. There is a hint of divine love. As one drawn to his lost spiritual home feels now the closeness of a waiting love, the imagery is of one returning home, and as he draws near, he feels someone waiting for him, someone loving him, waiting for him. Into a passage dim and tremulous that clasped him in from day and night's pursuit. This passage was vibrant, dim, and it protected him from the pursuit of the day and night, the spells of luminosity and obscurity of the surface world. He travelled, led by a mysterious sound. What leads him is a sound, a mysterious sound, a murmur, multitudinous and lone. That sound was something unique, but it was not one sound. It was many sounds in one. All sounds it was in turn, yet still the same. Now it would be one sound. Next moment it will be another. But all the while it will be the same sound. A hidden call to unforeseen delight in the summoning voice of one long known and loved. That sound was as if it was a sound summoning him, calling him. A voice of one long known and loved. Somebody intimately known, somebody deeply loved, but nameless to the unremembering mind. But the mind does not remember. There is a vague sense of knowing, but not remembering it. One can't give a name. It led to rapture back the truant heart. The truant heart, the human heart which had strayed away, it is bringing back the truant, one who has strayed away. The immortal cry ravished the captive ear. His ear is held captive. It cannot listen to any other sound. And that captive ear is ravished, forcibly held by that immortal cry from the region of the self of the world. Then, first it is an immortal cry, afterwards it sank to a whisper, circling round the soul. Now it is high sound, next it is a whisper. Now here, Sri Aurobindo describes the yogic phenomena of sounds. In many lines of yoga and in the experience of many yogis, a number of sounds make themselves felt. One hears subtle sounds, and yogic science speaks of as many as, I believe, 10 sounds. The Shvetashvatara Upanishad and other scriptures describe these sounds, and our poet describes these sounds here. So, let us follow him. That sound which is now high and which is now a whisper says, it seemed the yearning of a lonely flute that roamed along the shores of memory and filled the eyes with tears of longing joy. Like the flute of Krishna, whose notes roam along the shores of memory, the shores of Yamuna. And as you hear the flute, fill the eyes with tears of longing joy. You hear the call of the beloved waiting for you. That is one flute. A cricket's rash and fiery single note. There is that cry of a bird, which you go on cut like that. It is called a cricket. It is a blackish insect which for every few moments it will make a noise. That's what he describes. A cricket's rash and fiery single note, it marked with shrill melody night's moonless hush, and bet upon a nerve of mystic sleep. Mystic sleep, it is yogic sleep. And the nerve of the person in that spell is struck by the single note of the cricket, its high, insistent, magical revie. Revie is the military, that call on the bugle in the morning, wherever there is a military or the governor's house, early in the morning at 6 o'clock or whatever time, they blow the bugle. That is awakening, calling everybody to action, calling the guard, change of guard. And that is called reawakening. It's Sri Aurobindo says, the cricket's rash and single note, with this insistence, again and again, is like a magical revie. The third, a jingling silver laugh of anklet bells, dancing bells. On the anklet, the dancer ties the bells, and when they make a sound, the poet says, it is like a jingling silver laugh, like mother's laugh. Travel the roads of a solitary heart. The pilgrim who goes, he has a solitary heart, going in search of the beloved, and there he hears a jingling silver laugh of anklet bells. Travel the roads of a solitary heart. Its dance solaced an eternal loneliness. The being of the pilgrim is lonely, and that sadness of being alone is solaced by this dance of the anklet bells. An old forgotten sweetness sobbing came, and as a result there is a sob of not of sorrow but of sweetness. An old memory revives, an old forgotten sweetness sobbing came. Then another kind, oh, from a far harmonious distance heard the tinkling pace of a long caravan, a long procession of the bullock carts or the traders carrying their merchandise. They go maybe on horses, bullocks, carts, and that continuous noise of a passing procession, he says, or from a far harmonious distance heard the tinkling pace, ting, ting, when the animals, particularly the bullocks, put their feet, there are small bells, and they tinkle, the tinkling pace of a long caravan. It seemed that time the sound reminded one of the pace of a slowly traveling caravan. Caravan is a long procession of travelers, or a vast forest's hymn, as if the whole forest is reciting a hymn. This solemn reminder of a temple gong, or in a temple the huge gong is hit and it reverberates. You hear like that, or a bee croon honey drunk in summer isles. Summer isles, islands In summer that is full of vegetation, and a bee drunk with honey croons. You hear this sound like a bee croon, drunk with honey, ardent with ecstasy in a slumberous noon. That bee is full of ecstasy because it is a slumberous noon. The sun is at the top and there is a slumber all around, and the bee is luxuriating, crooning. Or still again, the far anthem of a pilgrim sea, as if the sea is moving to some goal, towards God, and the waves of the sea sound like a far anthem. Anthem is a song that is sung in collective singing. So the various waves, they create a feeling or an impression that the sea is singing an anthem of its own, far anthem, a distant. Now all these are described in the yogic scriptures, some of the Upanishads and treatises. It's not that one hears all these 10. Some may hear some may not hear at all. But to know these helps us to recognize when these sounds start vibrating, so that we may not put them down to imagination. Many times we undervalue our own experiences by letting our rational mind think that it may be some outside noise. I may be mistaking it. To know this description helps us to read those sounds again. You see, the immortal cry ravished the captive ear, then lowering its imperious mystery, it sank to a whisper circling round the soul. It seemed the yearning of a lonely flute that roamed along the shores of memory and filled the eyes with tears of longing joy. A cricket's rash and fiery single note, it marked with shrill melody night's moonless hush, and bet upon a nerve of mystic sleep its high insistent magical reveal. A jingling silver laugh of anklet bells travelled the roads of a solitary heart. Its dance solaced an eternal loneliness. An old forgotten sweetness sobbing came, or from a far harmonious distance heard the tinkling pace of a long caravan. It seemed at times, or a vast forest's hymn, the solemn reminder of a temple gong. The temple gong reminds us that something is due, somebody is awaiting. A bee croon honey drunk in summer isles, ardent with ecstasy in a slumberous noon, or the far anthem of a pilgrim sea. Here we have the sea, we hear it always. But imagine on the top of a mountain in a forest, when you hear the sound of the sea, it is this. the far anthem of a pilgrim sea. An incense floated in the quivering air, in the atmosphere around. An incense floats. A mystic happiness trembled in the breast, as if the invisible beloved had come, assuming the sudden loveliness of a face, and close, glad hands could seize his fugitive feet, as if glad hands could seize his fugitive feet. The pilgrim's hands could seize the fleeting feet of the beloved, and the world changed with the beauty of a smile. Once there is the smile of the beloved, the whole world changes. The entire perspective undergoes a change. Into a wonderful bodiless realm he came. This was the kind of wonderful realm he came, the home of a passion without name or voice, a depth he felt answering to every height. He feels there around him a depth corresponding to a height he has known before. A nook was found that could embrace all worlds. He finds a corner which, though a nook, could in its own way embrace all worlds. A point that was the conscious knot of space. A point where all the knots of space were tied together. An ever eternal in the heart of time. An ever eternal. This is the point of eternity in the flow of time. That is where Ashwapati has arrived. The silent soul of all the world was there. This point, the ever eternal in the heart of time, a nook that could embrace all worlds, was really the silent soul of all the world was there. A being lived, a presence and a power, a single person who was himself and all. The person there, the divine being, was himself and all, and cherished nature's sweet and dangerous throbs. The nature was not rejected. Nature was cherished. Nature's sweet and dangerous throbs. Dangerous because we get involved in them and lose our direction. But even those nature's sweet and dangerous throbs transfigured into beats divine and pure. That being, that divine person transfigures what are the sweet and dangerous throbs of nature into divine and pure beats. One who could love without return for love. Here was one who could love, give himself, without wanting the return of that love. One who could love without return of love, return for love, meeting and turning to the best, the worst that happens. He turns to the best. Turns the worst into the best. It heals the bitter cruelties of earth. transforming all experience to delight, intervening in the sorrowful paths of birth. Sorrowful paths of birth because birth is the beginning of a journey which ends in death through suffering and pain. Intervening in the sorrowful paths of birth, it rocked the cradle of a cosmic child. The whole cosmos is pictured as a child. And this being rocks the cradle of the cosmic child and stilled all weeping with its hand of joy. This being's hand is a hand of joy, and it stills all weeping of the world. It led evil, things evil, towards that secret good. That even what we think to be evil, there is something good secret in them. And it leads things evil towards that secret good. It turned racked falsehood into happy truth. Its power was to reveal divinity. The power of this being and presence was to reveal divinity in this universe, in this world. Infinite, coeval with the mind of God, it bore within itself a seed, a flame, a seed from which the eternal is newborn. That is a seed of the constant, perpetual birth of the eternal, a flame that cancels death in mortal things. There is a constant flame burning which cancels death in mortal things. All grew to all kindred and self and near. In that setting, in that air, all grew kindred to all else. Near to it, self to it, the intimacy of God was everywhere. No veil was felt, no brute barrier in earth. Distance could not divide. Distance lost its meaning. Time could not change. A fire of passion burned in spirit depths. A constant touch of sweetness linked all hearts. The throb of one's adoration's single bliss. One person, one soul adoring. The bliss of that adoration, throbbing in a rapt ether of undying love. An inner happiness abode in all. In all, that inner happiness lived. A sense of universal harmonies, a measureless secure eternity of truth and beauty and good and joy made one. Truth, beauty, good and joy were made one, and eternity became secure. There was the welling core of finite life. It was from there that our finite life has welled out. A formless spirit became the soul of form. It is at this level. It is here that the spirit which is formless by nature assumes, concretizes itself into the soul of form. Here is the soul of the world. So the spirit that is formless becomes the core, the soul of what assumes form. The formless becomes formful, and that formless spirit becomes the soul of that form.